Hello, welcome to another episode of the Wicked Feminist Podcast. And today, yes, March 8th, is International Women's Day. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. The day also marks a call to action for accelerating women's equality. Well, the theme for this year's IWD, International Women's Day, is Break the Bias. So we're going to be breaking the bias on the show today. Stay tuned. International Women's Day was first celebrated in Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland on March 19, 1911. Following the agreement at the Copenhagen Conference, Russia celebrated its first International Women's Day 2 years later on the last Sunday of February 23, 1913. So why is International Women's Day celebrated on March 8th? That's what I actually want to know. The most consequential International Women's Day protest took place in Russia on March 8, 1917. Thousands of Russian women took to the streets of the capital, Petrograd, now known as St. Petersburg, to demand the end of food shortages in World War I. It was this International Women's Day protest that helped prompt the start of the Russian Revolution and led to the overthrowing of Caesar. This holiday has been celebrated on March 8 ever since, as it took place on February 23rd, 1917. On the then used Julian calendar, the equivalent of March 8 on the Gregorian calendar. So, when was International Women's Day recognized worldwide? The United Nations celebrated International Women's Day for the first time in 1975. According to Women Watch, the United Nations General Assembly cited two reasons for deciding to observe the celebration of Women's Day. The first is to recognize the fact that securing peace and social progress and the full enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedom require the active participation, equality, and development of women. I actually agree. Yes, I actually agree. Then the second is to acknowledge the contribution of women to the strengthening of international peace and security. So what are people saying today about this? What do they think about IWD? People and organizations have taken to social media to mark the day. The UN called for an equal and sustainable future. Okay, so before we move to different kind of gender bias that we have in today's world, I would like to read out some lovely quotes that you might like, because today is International Women's Day, and we want to hear lovely quotes from women, from empowered women. So this one is from Bridget Jones. She said, "I felt like a feminist was another intimidating thing you were supposed to be, along with in a relationship, a mother, running your own business." Like, everybody knows that being a feminist, not everybody really rolls with that idea. So it's more like something else you're supposed to actually be. Like, okay, yeah, I know you're intimidated, you're scared, but yeah, I'm a feminist whether you like it or not. I think I like that. Okay, this one's from Viola Davis. "Do not live someone else's life and someone else's idea of what womanhood is. Womanhood is you. Womanhood is everything that's inside of you." Okay, that's a good one from Viola Davis. That's it. She's our queen. She's definitely our queen. What is gender bias? Or what are gender biases? Gender bias is the tendency to prefer one gender over another. It is a form of unconscious bias or implicit bias which occurs when one individual unconsciously attributes certain attitudes and stereotypes to another person or group of people. These ascribed behaviors affect how the individual understands and engages with others. It is more like favoritism towards one gender, then it is prevalent in the society. It can happen anywhere, workplace, amongst race, in the class, anywhere. It can be anywhere. Yes. And we're going to talk about how we can be prevented, how we can be reduced, how we can be eradicated. Said in my previous episode under the gender stereotypes and sexism, I said sexism is the root cause of gender inequality worldwide. Gender bias is as a result of sexism. Sexism, again, let me remind you, is a discrimination based on sex or gender. In many cultures, sexism has historically meant that men have more power and influence than women and other marginalized genders. What do you call somebody that is gender biased? You tell them the person is sexist. Yes, it's all rooted in sexism. So, how can we eliminate gender bias? 1. Get women into power. We need more women in political seats. We need global equal representation of women in politics and public offices. There is still major underrepresentation of women in all sectors. Give proper value to women's work. Eliminate gender pay gap. Yeah, that's what it means. We need to campaign for equal pay for equal work worldwide. Empower mothers. Yes, empower mothers. In Afghanistan, there have been great moves to increase the number of girls going through formal education through providing schools for girls in every district. Raise the aspirations of girls and their parents. Yes, one of the key strategies must be to change our girls, families, and society imagine what girls can be and can do. We also need parents to see that there are really opportunities for their daughters. So never ever put them into some stereotypical boxes. Make education gender sensitive. Make sure education is accessible to all genders. Stop child marriage and sexual harassment. It's still happening. It needs to stop. Child marriage is a major impediment to girls' education. If we want girls to be able to complete their education, we need to stop child marriage. Then talk to women and girls. You see, to achieve gender equality in every aspect is that women and girls' voices are too often excluded. Talk to women and girls. You see, the reason why gender equality has not been achieved in every aspect is that women and girls' voices are too often excluded from global and national decision making. When programs are not being centered around women and girls' needs, it will fail. You can't build on a crooked foundation. You can't. You can't really know what women or girls need until you ask them. You have to consult them. You have to know. You have to hear their voice. You have to hear their voices. Include them in decision making. Include them in everything. Anything you want to do that has to do with gender equality, you have to consult women and girls. Stop the violence. Stop the violence. Yes, that's another one. Stop the violence. Gender inequality allows for violence against women to continue. 1 in 3 women will experience violence in a lifetime. I'm sure we've all heard this. With most violence against women perpetrated by a current or former intimate partner, that's intimate partner violence. And we still have marital rape, we have domestic violence, we have child abuse, sexual harassment. It's too much. And we also need to stop the backlash. When women are dominating a male-dominated environment, there's always something that looks like punishment, like rape, sexual harassment, like violence. Yes, it happens. It happens. Acid attacks. Yes, it happens. Thank you for staying with me and for breaking the bias today with me on this show. Till the next time, I remain your host. Thank you very much for listening to today's episode of the Wicked Feminist Podcast. To the next episode, I remain your host. Well, don't forget what I said about sexism. See it, name it, and Stop it.